All right, let's go over.
Flip the switch.
Yes, hello. We're playing we're back on TMP. Playing Teen Titans for the Game Boy Advance again.
Yes.
um,
For anyone watching this later, we had a really short stream, so this is our first ever
Filler stream, yeah.
filler stream showcase. I guess it's not our first filler stream, but we're doing a little showcase of some
So
games.
we played this one before. Yeah, the theme is tie-in games. So
Yeah.
we're playing Teen Titans first, which actually we showed a little bit of on a previous stream. Uh, but I felt I didn't really do justice. This is not a fantastic game by any stretch of the imagination. It's a Game Boy Advance like tie-in game made by some third-party company after all. Um, but I showed it off on a previous stream because I was really tired of playing Digimon World,
Oh,
which you were streaming before, and I had never played it before, so I was just completely winging it, and that didn't work out.
okay. Now you're an expert.
Let's get a new file. I played a little more,
Okay.
so I uh, learned. You can play on normal or easy. You can't pick hard, at least not on a first playthrough. So I watched
Oh,
this show recently and got a little bit curious about the games. I guess I enjoyed it enough for that. Um, there's a PS2 one as well, with PS2 and GameCube and everything, which is probably better. The Game Boy Advance was not a very good system to be on, and it was very limited. But what's interesting about this property for the potential of a game adaptation is the ability to switch between 5 different characters with disparate
oh,
playstyles.
that's cool.
Um, yeah, although is very under implemented in the Game Boy Advance game.
Okay,
Probably a little better in the PlayStation 2 game, which also had voice acting and got most of the same actors as the TV series.
that's fun.
But yeah, so for this one, we can switch on the fly between any of the 5 kids, and just play as them. And they also have separate health and special meters and they regenerate when they're not active, so it's really hard to lose.
Oh
But
yeah.
the most interesting thing about the game is like if you try to search for the collectibles, because there's 25 of these like T cards in every level. Um, and to get all of them, you have to use the different characters in different places and stuff like that to fully
Hmm.
explore the levels. So I'm playing as Raven for the most part, who I think is probably the best character because she has a very powerful special, and her and Starfire can like fly and then throw projectiles, which is really
Oh
OP.
yeah. It's pretty busted.
Well, everyone else can just punch. Yeah, there's no cost at all to using this like basic attack projectile. So not only are there like different puzzles, but the level design kind of at least becomes more interesting if you're trying to get the collectibles, because there's this path up the stairs, which leads to some, and so it's like a little bit more windy rather than strictly linear if you're looking for the collectibles, uh,
Hmm.
which makes the game somewhat more interesting.
Okay.
Yeah. So every character has like one basic combo and then one aerial attack, and then they also have ground and aerial specials. So Raven's air special with this, Violet from The Incredibles type barrier, and her air one is she like drops things from the
Oh,
air.
she says her famous line.
Yeah, she does. It's like pretty much the only voice acting in this version.
Okay. Well, she couldn't do that without saying the line, so
Yeah,
they
exactly.
had to implement that.
So the arrows are color coded as well to tell you like which character to use. So
Uh,
blue is Cyborg; he can like punch through the ground.
okay.
This is for collectibles too. Yeah. So Starfire is fairly similar to Raven. She can fly and throw projectiles like her, and then she
Hmm.
has this like spread projectile, and her special move on the ground is an eye beam thing.
Okay. The cyborg beam.
Yeah, very similar to Cyborg's ground is special. So again, there's a quite limited pool of different moves for the Game Boy Advance game.
Hmm.
I would hope it would be better for the like console one, but I have not played that yet.
I just watched 2 seconds of a video of that game on YouTube as you were talking, and
Okay,
you know
how did it
it,
look?
it looks like a PS2 game. It looks very good for a PS2 game because it's all stylized.
Cell shaded, I guess.
Cell
You
shaded. No,
have
it's not. It's not cell shaded, but it is like cartoony.
in that one
So,
you have the option to switch between all 5 characters like on the fly as well.
yeah, they're all there all at once, I guess, and you can switch between.
Yeah.
Them.
Which
Here, of course, the screen, this tiny screen, would get too cluttered.
oh yeah. I see what you mean. Yeah. Not like this game where you transform from one character to the next as you switch.
Oh yeah, no. In your order Starfire.
Yeah, the green buttons only Starfire stuff will activate those.
Yeah,
that's her thing.
they're created for her, whatever her alien species.
Tamaranians. Yes, I just
Yeah,
recently watched the show. I still haven't watched the movie though. I guess I'll get around to it. I got distracted by Arcane, which was more French.
It was. I have one more episode left.
Oh, okay. So you saw episode 7. I can't. Oh, you saw what happened with Victor and his lovely assistant.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm liking the show. Like, I still like it, but I am liking it less as it goes on, because it really kind of feels like not like there was that fight in the Shimmer like factory.
With yeah.
Like it was cool, like cinematographically, but it was just like
the thing with the little boy was very melodramatic.
It was, but the whole thing was like, look at these lead characters. Are they cool? Like, I don't know.
I do think my biggest problem with the show is that a few things get kind of like are too melodramatic, I guess, or like over dramatized.
Oh yeah.
Both
transformation,
the little boy dying, and the like fight scene, the near fight scene between Jason by after that, like kind of wore on me, I guess. Okay, so the last character we'll show off is Beast Boy, who to my mind has my favorite character from the show, and who has, I would say, a lot of potential as a video game character. I was thinking about the idea of like making a game just with Beast Boy because his power is really cool. Like, it's quite cool to watch because he rapidly transforms between different animals, and that could make for interesting gameplay. Of course, in a Game Boy Advance game, all we have is, you punch a couple times and he turns into a gorilla, and then like he can turn into a rhino and charge.
Oh, I know.
Which is a pretty good ability, and then he also has a tiger form, but I'm gonna try and conserve his special meter.
Okay.
Because I found he has kind of a good upfront offense with both of his sort of charging attacks that cover a lot of distance, so he makes a good like speedy supplement to Raven.
Sure. Yeah, I guess it's hard to make 5 totally unique characters feel super unique in a Game Boy Advance game.
For Beast Boy, what's interesting about watching him on the show is that he rapidly transforms between different animals.
Yeah.
Which, from a developing standpoint, even just designing how that controls would be weird. Because the most immediately intuitive way, I think, would be to have it just be like the shoulder buttons toggle between different animals. But that would be like annoying if you were a tiger and you wanted to turn into an eagle, and that was like 5 down the list, and you had to like toggle through certain animals. So when just thinking about it, I was thinking fighting game inputs might actually be the way to go.
Like, I was about to say the same thing, actually.
Each animal would be assigned to a fighting game style input, so you could quickly change between them, and there could be many. And then you would also have to put a lot of development time into like making the different animals each have a unique amount of thing. Because it would be cooler instead of what this game does, where you just sort of transform for the duration of an attack. To like be able to be in tiger form for a little while,
and have a full set of attacks.
Yeah,
that's how the Druid works in WoW. It's like you can change into different forms, and
I always find that cool.
Almost fully unique set of abilities and stuff. It's kind of neat. I guess that's true for all the subclasses in the game. It's just for that one, you also turn into different animals. For each one. Of course, you're fighting these bee guys.
The Hive,
The Hive, from the H. I remember them from the show.
Yeah, well, that's one of the first enemies that the kids have to fight is the Hive trio. With Gizmo and Jinx, actually, is what the one girl, the witch girl's called, and the third guy, the buff guy of the team.
Yeah.
I can't remember his name. That show was funny. I'm not sure. I know a lot of the storylines in it were actually taken from the comics, from the new Teen Titans comic by Perez and Wolfman. But I'm not sure. I think some of the characters might have been, like some of the villains might have been original to the show. Like the funny British guy. I could be wrong, though. I am not a DC Comics expert by any stretch of the imagination.
It's a shame they canceled it. They could have kept the show going and introduced Safe Space and.
Oh yeah, Snowflake. That would have been. That really would have brought it to the next level.
I think those are Marvel.
Maybe they'll have him in Teen Titans Go.
Oh yeah.
That would be really good. That would
be great for the longevity of the show.
Yeah, I think so. Well, that was kind of a smaller issue with the later seasons of Teen Titans 2003 was that they had to pull in more and more of the DC universes. They were progressively running out of ideas later on.
Yeah, sure.
Such as Kid Flash and the Doom Patrol, which is where Beast Boy originated in the comics. And I think the Brotherhood of Evil, but it was like a special, like it wasn't like Lex Luthor or anything.
No, he's too big of a name.
Yeah.
For the Teen Titans, you need to have like.
The most they could get was Robin. They had like a Gorilla Man, like a French-speaking Gorilla Man, and a big Brainiac. I think in other versions, but he wasn't called Brainiac. He was called something else.
Brainiac is like the biggest villain like ever in DC. So
is he?
They had him in there. Yeah, he's like a world-ending apocalyptic event, basically.
Oh, maybe it's somebody else then. Maybe that's not who it was, because this was just a brain in a jar.
Oh no, yeah, Brainiac is like a ultra-powerful like AI thing.
Okay.
He flies around in a massive ship shaped like a brain, I think, or like a head or something stupid. Anyway.
See, this goes to show how ignorant I am on DC.
Yeah, I know a little bit. From reading comic book wikis nonstop when I was 13.
I've only read like Watchmen and stuff as far as DC actual comics go, I think.
Oh yeah, I haven't even read that. I have a copy. I bought a copy just so I can put on my bookshelf.
Yeah.
Pretentious, but I haven't read it.
Have you read the comic version of V for Vendetta?
I have. I actually really liked it.
I found a funny negative V for Vendetta review that we might do for criticism critique. Yeah, I found this comic blog they did like for their anniversary. They did, I think they called it the Index of Hate, where they all wrote about like different comics they really hate. So interesting way to celebrate. Yes, Mouse was also covered, and I think Watchmen as well. So some hot takes.
Those are all hot takes.
Yeah.
I guess you're certainly allowed to dislike those, but
there were some less hot takes.
Sure.
Than that.
I read Mouse, but it was like I remember like it being highly recommended.
It's definitely a hot take to say it's bad.
Have you read it?
No, I haven't read it either.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess I've also heard it. It's good. Mouse spelled M-A-U-S, of course. It's about the Holocaust.
It is indeed about the Holocaust, yeah.
Yeah, we're about to finish Arcane, and I gotta think of what to watch next.
I'm thinking of starting The Sopranos next, but I'm also considering they released the Netflix or whatever it is series for Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared.
Oh yeah.
Which I really enjoyed back when it was a YouTube thing.
Okay.
So it's only like 6 episodes as well, so I might just binge that sometime.
Okay. Sopranos definitely highly recommend. We can talk about that on end. That'd be so much good content for the stream.
Oh yeah, I think the main thing that intimidates me is like long episodes and really long show.
Oh yeah, it's like 7 seasons with hour-long episodes each.
I like the theme song though.
Theme song's the best part. You can just watch the theme song for each episode and skip the rest. No,
that'd be good.
Yeah, that show kind of, I don't want to say invented, but definitely popularized having like a sympathetic villain as the protagonist, which like Breaking Bad is probably the more memorable version of that. But Tony Soprano kind of did it first. Where
Breaking Bad is very popular.
Characters are really likable, but also objectively horrible people.
Yeah.
In The Sopranos.
Yeah, I never have watched it. I know that it's iconic.
Sure. Did you watch? Have you watched Breaking Bad?
Yeah, the first couple seasons, but I didn't finish it. So the parts where Walt
Okay.
gets really villainous, I didn't see.
Yeah, sure.
I think I
I
stopped
feel
right
like.
before the episode where they have to kill a fly. I think that was the next episode I was gonna watch.
Oh, really? The everyone's least favorite episode.
Yeah, I think that might be why I stopped because I know it had that reputation.
It's not. It's not. Oh, it's not that bad at all. People are just upset because like nothing really happens, but it's kind of a. It's like
Yeah,
an introspective type of thing, which is fine. It's like one episode where you know, relax. I
I
guess I
see.
can understand being upset when it was coming out on TV and it's like that's it for
Yeah,
this week. But now that you can binge it, it just like doesn't matter at all.
that does change things.
Yeah.
It does change how people perceive things, the pacing of a story.
Yeah. It's like that. There's that one episode of Black Mirror towards the end, which is like it's the one. Have you watched Black Mirror?
Only White Christmas,
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, yeah. That Meko made everyone watch for the.
the classic. Um,
Was it Meko? I think that was.
yeah,
Yeah. Oh yeah, he's like pissed that you guys didn't like it enough. Um,
I was like kind of lukewarm on it and also very non-participatory in
oh yeah.
the recording we did,
Oh yeah, that's right. I listened to like
which
about
upset both Ram
5 minutes
and
of it.
both Null and Mecca.
Oh sure.
Oh, speaking of Null, we didn't read his comment. Go.
Well, Hal left, so.
I see.
But Hal, if you're still listening, yeah. He says, I still have to see Silmido. I've been on a break from films. I didn't even see anything last month, but I'm picking up traction now.
Yeah.
I feel like I've been on break from films for like a long time. Like I used to watch a lot of movies, and I
Yeah,
think
I
when
don't
COVID
watch
hit
too
and
many
theaters
these
shut
days.
down, I just like stopped caring.
Oh, I see. That's what did it.
And like I don't really have anyone to go with. Like my wife will go with me, but it's better with like more people, you know. So that's why we went to see a movie with like my parents here because we
Oh, yeah.
that's a thing to do with my parents that we do a lot. Like every Christmas, we used to go see a Tarantino movie. Not every Christmas, but a lot of his movies came out around Christmas. So we
Is
go
that your
see them.
dad's
So like,
favorite director?
yeah, my mom and dad's. Well,
Oh,
definitely my dad's. My mom just be saying that. Might just be saying that just because it's my dad's favorite. I don't think she has like a
it does
strong
seem like
opinion.
less of a mom movie, I guess.
Yeah, she definitely likes his stuff.
My parents both really hate Reservoir Dogs, but
Really, that's my favorite.
yeah, for dumb reasons. They both get like pissed off. I think they said they both stopped watching it like during the torture scene, like right before the guy doing the torturing gets his brains blown out.
Oh, that's such a like. I always thought that was like a really boomer opinion because I've heard that before. Well, I don't know, like I don't know why your parents stopped, but I've heard like my mom wouldn't let me watch that movie, and I had already seen like Kill Bill and Pulp Fiction, which have like the like worse shit in it. But she was like obsessed about like that torture scene, and she even
That's
like brought up
funny.
she had like a coworker doctor that she worked with where he was like, yeah, he was like, I watched that torture scene, I had nightmares for like years or whatever, and then you see it and it's like, I mean, it's like what? It's like yeah, I guess it's fucked up. I mean, but it's like what's so like egregious about
Mm.
it, you know? I don't know. It's
Well,
like
my
there's like
mom said
worse
that
things in movies.
my mom kind of had a similar thing with the rape scene in Pulp Fiction of the guy of Marcellus Wallace,
Oh yeah,
which also
Marcellus.
came off as she said it was like one of the most gratuitous rape scenes she'd ever seen or something. But then when we watched it, both of us, I watched it with her, like revisiting it. We both of us were
Yeah.
like, okay, it was not that bad.
No, yeah, they
She was
both.
like, it was not as bad as I remembered.
Yeah. Well, it's there's the implication of what's going on that really sticks in your mind, but
I
like
think the
what's actually
GIMP
shown on
thing as well
screen.
was somewhat shocking for people at the time.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's like you can't show this on movie in the theater. Yeah, like I watched that, and my parents told me I wasn't allowed to show it to my friends because they didn't want their parents like
Yeah,
complaining about it.
didn't want to get in
But
trouble.
yeah, but like I was allowed to see that. But then like Pulp Reservoir Dogs was like, no, he gets his ear cut off. Yeah, I mean it's fucked up, but
It was very purposeful to the story the movie was trying to tell.
yeah, yeah, it's a cool scene.
I guess
The
both of those two scenes are kind of the ones that have the greatest like human emotional center to them for those two movies. What's meaningful about the torturing in Reservoir Dogs is that it's what moves the cop guy, the career focused cop guy, enough to risk blowing his cover by shooting the guy doing the torturing.
Yeah.
And similarly, the sort of humanity of the rape scene in Pulp Fiction is that Bruce Willis goes back to save his enemy just because, like, even though he was his enemy, seeing him get done that dirty was too much for him.
Oh yeah. And then he kind of gets a free pass to be able to leave town
Yes.
afterwards.
And he says it's Zed's dead, baby.
Zed's dead. Yeah. And he kills John Travolta, who's taking a shit.
I forgot about that part.
Yeah. Because I guess Travolta didn't get the memo that he's not supposed to kill him anymore. It didn't matter. Anyway, no, we saw Django and Hateful Eight with the two Tarantinos that we saw around Christmas.
I heard Hateful Eight was a little bit more of a letdown in comparison.
Yeah, I agree. Django was fun, but it didn't feel. I guess everything past Kill Bill like felt less like Tarantino to me, or like I guess old school Tarantino, which is what I like more.
I guess thematically, Kill Bill, Django, and Inglourious Bastards all form this sort of revenge-based trilogy. They're like identity revenge, you know, like women getting revenge, then Jews, and then blacks.
True. Oh yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I guess I felt like Kill Bill kind of did the revenge thing really well. And I mean, it was already kind of a departure from Tarantino's style he had established with, more grounded stuff like Jackie Brown, Reservoir Dogs, and Pulp Fiction. And then you have Kill Bill, which is about like female assassin ninjas and
yeah,
a little wackier.
I think that's what makes the movie good.
I agree. Yeah, but then I don't know, just Inglourious Bastards and everything past that just felt a little more like off the wall and campy, which not to say I don't like it. I like those movies. I like them less than what I would consider his magnum opus trifecta of Reservoir Dogs, Kill Bill, and
Pulp Fiction. I really liked Inglourious Bastards, although I was like 17 at the time I watched it.
Same, but I feel like everyone liked it more than me, which is fine. Again, I didn't dislike it, but because everyone was like, "This is the best Tarantino movie yet," and I was like, "This is the worst Tarantino movie yet."
Wow.
So I'm sure the truth lies somewhere in between.
Maybe. Wally really didn't like it, but for what I felt were more political reasons, I guess.
Well, Wally didn't like 1917 because it didn't portray World War One accurately enough.
He has a hate on for gangster movies, so he refuses to give Godfather a good actual 5-star score. You can only give it a 3.5 or something because it's too much of a gangster movie. And I guess Goodfellas, that classic movie as well. Yeah. And then his problem with Inglourious Basterds was he called it liberal torture porn or something like that.
Oh sure. Yeah, I can see why one would have that opinion because it kind of is. I mean, you start off with a Nazi getting beat to death with a baseball bat, and then you end with the entire Nazi command being gunned down in a theater.
There is the one sympathetic Nazi guy who tries to befriend the girl at the movie theater, and then she kills him. She fucks him over without realizing that he wasn't so bad.
Right. Yeah. True.
I guess my response to that criticism would be that it's okay to make liberal torture porn as long as you put enough filmmaking quality and meaning into the movie.
It's a good movie, so even if it is that doesn't take away from its quality. But that also means you don't have to like it, so fair enough.
Maybe I would dislike it more nowadays because I do have a bit of a hate on for revenge movies now.
Sure, I also don't.
I just think it's hard to do anything really new with the concept, because you can either do straightforward revenge movie like The Crow or something, which is very kind of dumb when you think about it, or you can do revenge doesn't really satisfy a movie most of the Korean movies
Yeah, I
about
was gonna say
revenge,
Old Boy, Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance, Lady Vengeance. I feel
which
like,
is also kind of overdone now.
yeah, I agree. Um, that is like what makes Old Boy like one of my favorite movies ever is it does that very well, but it also puts its own additional like twists on it. So it is the like revenge doesn't satisfy, but it's for reasons very specific to Old Boy, I guess. So I think even if you're tired of that, like that's still a movie that is really enjoyable. But
I've heard that.
um,
Not you can like run to the rental store to get it though. Also,
no,
that
no,
doesn't
it's
exist anymore because Netflix put it out of business.
true. I was gonna say maybe we could watch that together with
Uh,
my
once
other friend,
once we
but
finish Darkwater American
yeah.
version and
Oh yeah, no,
Pulse
yeah.
American version, yeah.
Um, I think I already watched it with him. So
Aw, yeah, you watch a bunch of Korean movies with him, right?
yeah, well, we watched that whole trilogy of
Oh yeah, that's the
Sympathy for Mr.
trilogy.
Vengeance and Lady
Did you
Vengeance.
watch Train to Busan?
I did, but I watched that one with my dad.
Oh, okay,
We
that's your
liked it.
dad movie.
Yeah, just like I like the movie. It's just like just fun zombie action on
Oh,
a
I
train.
didn't even know it was a zombie movie.
Oh yeah, that's no, it's like 28 days later on a train basically.
A lot of these East Asian movies, I hear something of them that makes me less interested. Like I thought Everything Everywhere
Yeah,
All at Once was going to be like a doomer, existential crisis movie,
it
and then
is.
you posted about how it was like kung fu for the first half. I'm like, okay, I don't want to watch it anymore then.
Well, it is an existential doomer movie as well.
Yeah.
It's an anti-doomer movie.
Oh,
Um,
that's no
and
good.
but it's
Is
like
it
it's like
a anti-doomer or a post-doomer movie though? That's the crucial distinction.
it's anti-doomer. It's like it's like the battle between like nihilism and just finding something to
I see.
cling to. It's a very wholesome movie in the end. I felt like it did it well, but it is like at its core, at least for the entire first half, and well throughout all of it, but entirely for the first half, a kung fu comedy,
Yeah.
which is fun. I mean, I never thought I'd like that kind of movie, but I like one of my friends. We used to do a movie night every like Wednesday, I think, when I was in college, my freshman year, and one guy recommended Kung Fu Hustle, which is a really stupid like kung fu comedy, and it was legitimately really funny, and I liked it. So,
Okay.
um,
I watched Police Story, which I thought was very good, like for what it was, but I didn't really like what it was, which was a kung fu comedy.
sure,
I guess more of an acrobatic stunt comedy, though.
yeah, but that one's more like a. Well, I guess I haven't seen it, but my impression of it is it's more of a legitimate like kung fu movie that is also a comedy. Whereas like Kung Fu Hustle is just like a parody of like everything
Uh-huh.
that it touches, which can
Yeah,
be
Police
tedious
Story
if
isn't
done
really that
poorly. But
much
I
of a
thought it was very
parody in
yeah, it's
comparison
like
to how
silly
that
enough
sounds.
that it was really funny. I thought there's like a scene at the end where the protagonist is fighting the antagonist, and the antagonist switches to his toad style kung fu, and he turns into a giant toad, and they fight.
Oh, okay.
That's why I thought that was fun.
Yeah,
That kind of shit.
I like
So,
that more than what Jackie Chan does. Jackie Chan just has to like answer a bunch of phones at once. That's his joke.
well, that's fun. It could be fun.
It was
Doesn't
cool
sound
in
like it.
terms of the like choreography
Okay.
of it.
There's also Shaolin Soccer in the same kind of genre, which I
Oh
have not
yeah,
seen.
I prefer
Um,
Shaolin Showdown. I think.
that was a good show. You should rewatch that next.
I rewatched that
That
recently,
that
a
was on
couple of
like the
years
same
ago or
time as
something.
Teen Titans.
Yeah, same era of shows when I was growing up.
Yeah.
I rewatched it. Oh, that actually there is a similarity. There's a recurring theme throughout many shows of that era. I noticed, which was villains who like want to sort of corrupt the protagonist, I guess. So
Oh yeah.
Slade, of course, wants Robin to become his
Boy Toy.
yeah, his what did you say, apprentice? And then you
Yeah,
have Danny
Apprentice.
Phantom, where Vlad wants to make Danny Phantom his apprentice and take him away from his dad. And then you have Shaolin Showdown, where there's Chase Young, who wanted Omi to become his apprentice as well.
Hmm.
So at least those three. Oh, and I guess actually just Shaolin Showdown twice, because there was also Wuya, the witch, who wanted Raimundo to be her apprentice. So,
Oh yeah.
but I thought that show was like not fantastic on its own, but it had one really great character in it who kind of carried the whole thing, and that character, of course, was Jack Spicer, the initial villain of the show.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Jack Spicer was great. Also, your avatar for all the
Yes,
time.
very fun. Still my avatar on the AFT forum.
Wow.
Very funny character, but also very nuanced with a good
Yeah,
mix of sympathetic, redeeming characteristics and terrible villainous flaws. Who was never
sure.
quite able to overcome them and make this transition into hero, although there was apparently plans for that at some point.
Jack Spicer is a American poet, often identified with the San Francisco Renaissance.
Yeah, that as well. There's many episodes that deal with that where he like has a poetry slam against Omi and stuff.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's a fun show with all the different what were they called?
The
Artifacts.
Shengon Wu.
Yes, yes, thank you.
Yes,
Shengon was
see, I watched it more recently.
well, yeah, I mean, I forget everything.
One thing
I
I
remember,
appreciated about it that was made possible by that aspect of the structure was that the villains would win sometimes, like much more frequently than was typical of other shows. There were some episodes
oh
where
yeah,
even like Jack Spicer would actually just beat the monks and get the Shengon Wu of that episode, which they can do because of the comparatively low stakes, right?
right. The heroes could just get another one. Like,
Yeah,
there's only a few that are
or
like you
steal the
have to have
ones
this
back
one.
that like Jack Spicer
Right,
took before,
right.
which it wouldn't always end up happening.
Yeah, until I kind of I think again it's similar to Teen Titans. I watched more of that show toward in the earlier seasons, and later when they got into like the big overarching plot and like
Yeah,
even the witch character, I like very
that
spotty.
was
Well,
good.
part
That's
of it
the end of
was
season one. I did kind of like it
okay.
more
I can see that.
when Jack Spicer was the main villain, just because he was to me by far the best character. So once the focus moved away from him towards the other more like serious villains, I also liked it a little less. And him and some of the other characters also suffered from a little bit of like Flanderization as the show went on.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we're fighting Dark Beast Boy. I wonder if I switch, will he switch away, or is it just Beast Boy? This is kind of coming out of the one part of the show where it was Raven's dad, and he's sick to like shadow versions of the Teen Titans on them, and they
Yeah.
beat them by swapping. Like Beast Boy was fighting evil Beast Boy, but then they had Cyborg fight him instead. That was how they figured it
Oh
out.
yeah, I remember that. That's a fun one.
So that's what I'll do. That I'll whip out Cyborg to fight Dark Beast Boy. Oh, this does seem to be working.
Oh, but there's Starfire.
Yeah, I think in the show it was Beast Boy who they fought Starfire with, so let's go with him.
Also
Oh,
seems
yep,
to be working.
that worked well.
Wow, this is really
Really accurate to
really
the
accurate.
lore.
Anytime there's like a doppelganger like battle, it reminds me of when I was a kid. I was watching my dad play the first Tomb Raider, and there's one puzzle in that game where you enter a room with a doppelganger that won't let you pass, and like the trick is to open a pit in the floor and then like step to the side where the pit is on her side, and like she falls in the pit and like melts in lava. I don't
Interesting.
know why that's like stuck in my memory, but anytime I see a doppelganger, I think of the
It's a
Tomb
very
Raider.
commonly represented thing in games, like the Zelda games do it quite a few times. Oot, of course,
Mhm.
has Dark Link, and Link's second game, Zelda 2 Adventure of Link. He was the final boss.
Oh, okay. Elden Ring has that with you to get the most overpowered summon in the game, which is just a copy of yourself. You have to defeat a copy of yourself.
Oh, crazy.
Crazy. The mimic tier, which they nerfed into the ground after like the first patch because it was just busted.
Shame.
It was still the best even after the nerf.
Wow.
So that's how bad it was.
Well, I
That's
guess
some
it was
League of
probably
Legends.
intended to be the best.
I don't know. Well, not to the extent that it was. It was no. It was intended to be good, but because of certain like weapons you could use that were also OP, and you could just double the OPness. Like I don't think they meant to allow that level of
Sure.
stacking the overpowered stuff. So without that, I think it would have been just fine. It would have been powerful, but not as busted. But it was busted.
It is kind of inevitable in an RPG that like doubling yourself is the most powerful thing you can possibly do. Like stuff that lets you get more turns is usually the very best thing you can have in an RPG
Mm-hmm.
because that scales with any other like powerful things you can find throughout the rest of the game, right?
Yeah, yeah. That's actually it's a yeah. It's true in LCGs as well. What are they called? What the L stands for living card games, similar to like competitive card games. There's games that you play cooperatively against the game, I guess. And
Uh-huh.
there's like a Lord of the Rings one. There's an Arkham Horror one that I'm a big fan of. I bought like a fuck ton of those decks, and then I haven't played them yet. But anyway, like the main thing there is like the game scales very poorly with adding in more players, just because having more turns is just so powerful.
Yeah, totally.
So yeah,
And Magic the Gathering wasn't one of the like Power 9 or whatever a card that let you get an extra turn, a blue card.
I don't. Oh,
Or
boy, that doesn't surprise me to hear.
maybe I'm misremembering. I think there are some cards that let you get an extra turn but are not actually as fantastic as that sounds because of much mana cost and stuff.
Oh sure,
But
that is kind of the way to balance it, I guess.
Unless I'm misremembering, there was one that was like that, but also very not very expensive and therefore really good.
This level reminds me of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 6, Turtles in Time, where like one of the other levels is you going through the streets.
Going through New York in the sewers is always going to inevitably be a bit reminiscent of TMNT.
Yeah. Yep. Specifically TMNT 6.
It is actually TMNT 4, though.
Yes, I know.
Okay, we don't want to fall into the acid.
Okay. Well, it's not really
Doesn't
that
do
bad,
very
actually.
much damage, no.
Yeah. It's actually relatively harmless, but yes, still bad.
I do find that Robin and Cyborg are the least fun characters to play as because they have less mobility compared to the other three. You can just fly around the whole place.
I think they were my least favorite characters in the show too. Again, not that I disliked them.
Yeah, that show has good characters. All five of them are pretty likable.
All good. Yeah.
I think if I had to pick a least favorite, I'd say Starfire, but on revisiting the show, I was very pleasantly surprised by how charming the character was. They do a good job with the alien aspect of the character to make that amusing. That's one of the weaknesses of Teen Titans Go is that they forget how to write Starfire's character voice and just make her put "the" in front of random words now.
Oh yeah, she did that.
She did do that, but she would also be like, on my planet we celebrate Zorglob, the magical holiday of friendship, or whatever. That whole aspect's kind of lost.
That's sad. Now she's just
like... Or like, please, I don't know your Earth ways, and Aardvark is some kind of duck.
Oh yeah.
Stuff like that.
That is fun.
Yeah. It's the sort of thing that could be overdone, but it was managed with good writing in the show.
Yeah. She's like the Zoidberg of Teen Titans.
I liked Robin. Some of the strongest material centered around him with the Slade stuff.
Yeah, I always like gravitated away from the like leader character. It appeals to me as much. I mean, again, I still liked him.
It's kind of interesting to note that Robin sort of channels Batman in the comic or in that show, because he's more Dick Grayson is traditionally more of like a fun-loving young man character, I think. In DC Comics, but he's very much just the Batman. I am the Knight. I never make mistakes. Very serious character in the show. But I think that works well because it's effectively contrast with the other characters.
Sure. But like Starfire's silliness and Beast Boy as well.
Beast Boy and Cyborg both being fairly fun-loving characters.
That's true. Yeah, they were kind of like a fun-loving duo.
Yeah, they're tight. Those two. They're bros.
Yeah, and Cyborg, I really don't remember. I remember him having his own episodes were usually pretty good from my memory.
I really like the one where he meets the guy that's like the underground robot repairer guy who wants to take away the human parts of him that are left.
Yeah.
Because I really like the way that ended with that guy like plugging in to steal Cyborg's memories, but then just being so moved by the beauty of being human that he remembered the error of his ways. They didn't even have to beat that guy up or anything. He just like remembers what he was doing wrong and agrees to let Cyborg go, which I thought was really cool.
That is nice. Good change of pace.
Yeah. I guess a problem he runs into is that instead of just episodes about his character as such, his focus episodes tend to be about like some way focused around his robot ness, you know.
Yeah, that's his big conflict.
Whereas like Beast Boys episodes that are centered around him will be about like his relationship with Terra and how that emotionally affected him and stuff.
Right.
Which
Beast
is
Boy has no holdups about being Beast Boy. So
not really, no.
more about
He does
growth
actually have a
about
very
hangups.
fairly dark backstory that in some way parallels Cyborg's in the comics.
Okay.
He was turned into Beast Boy by his parents, similar to how Cyborg got fucked up and his dad turned him into a cyborg, which he had a great deal of resentment about in the comics. He would actually just like complain about it every second, every time they gave him a chance, which they really dialed back for the show.
I remember you posted that review of why Cyborg is like a bad black character or whatever.
Yeah, which comes off
there
as a
were
bit
more panels.
unhinged, personally, to me personally, but perhaps that's because
Well, not only
I'm.
was it unhinged, but the reviewer complains about how it's like, oh, he's black, so he has to be athletic, he has to be a football player.
Uh huh.
It's like, but you have panels in here about his dad, who is also black and a roboticist, and all these things that you're not talking about because you just want to focus
True.
on your narrow-minded, like bitching about stereotypes.
Yeah, I do think it was kind of. I think it's an example of like a bad example of that criticism, because that type of
Yeah.
criticism, because it came off as very very reaching and kind of like another thing that I thought was very ridiculous was that it compared Cyborg's friendship with Beast Boy to like Tom's or Huckleberry Finn and Jim.
Oh, what?
Yeah, which like part of the problem is that he's coming in very much as a comics fan rather than a TV show fan, but at least in the TV show, those two characters are very explicitly treated as peers. So like, he says that the Huckleberry Finn thing is like putting a black adult on the same intellectual level as a white kid, which is also absolutely misunderstanding the intent of Huckleberry Finn. But the Cyborg and Beast Boy are very explicitly peers. Like Beast Boy is maybe a couple years younger, a teen, but still, you know.
Yeah. I always forget there's people out there who don't like Huck Finn. What a misguided opinion.
I know. Well, Huckleberry Finn is very like you can still criticize the implementation and stuff, but it is very explicitly an anti-racist book.
Yeah, like it's
And the
like,
point of the relationship
better,
between Jim and Huck is that Jim is a father figure to him.
Yeah.
More of a father figure to him than the white people around him will all fail him.
Exactly.
Especially his dad, who sucks.
Just because it has a slave character doesn't mean it's like.
He does also speak in like a traditionally uneducated sounding voice.
As he would. That's not his fault. That he's uneducated.
You could argue that the specific things he says are too stereotypical and stuff, but I think overall that would be kind of like missing forest for the trees.
Yeah, same. I mean, I guess I don't know enough about the issue, but to me it came across as just very realistic, for better or worse, but it would be the case that I'm wrong.
Yeah. All right, well, I think that's a good enough showcase of Teen Titans. Actually, I thought we were about to finish the level. Let's try to finish off the level.
Yeah. We have to finish the Ninja Turtles level.
Yeah. Once it doesn't remember us, it reminds us of Ninja Turtles 6 anymore.
Yeah.
We'll move on.
What is TMNT 6? Is there a 6?
I don't know if there is.
I don't think there is.
I mean, there definitely are 6 Ninja Turtles games, but they might have stopped, like, numbering them that way by that time.
Turtles in Time. A beat 'em up arcade game.
That's a classic.
It is so good. That was the greatest game I ever played in my childhood.
I only played it later on, but I did have fun. The new Ninja Turtles game looks good too.
The newest one, yeah. Even the ones that were out around the like 2000 series that my sister and I were huge fans of. Those were also really really fun.
Yeah, I don't like that because it deviates too much from the first good Ninja Turtles version, which is the '80s cartoon.
Yeah. It's a little too much like the comics, which are bad.
They're too edgy.
Too edgy. It is edgier. I can't deny that, but it is also fun. So.
I think that's fine. There's a lot of
exactly.
there's a lot of wiggle room between Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles '80s level of of edginess and like too much edginess.
Right. Yes, there's a lot of
Yeah.
space to get more edgy.
Tulu's opinions on adaptations are kind of dumb. In my opinion. I think
in
it's
2009. Oh, sorry.
it's comes too much from his idolization of Alan Moore, who's very down on adaptations.
But Alan Moore is also super edgy, so
Yeah, it comes off kind of hypocritical when he does it because basically his entire career is bastardizing other people's work.
I'm a writer that deconstructs superheroes. Reuter that deconstructs superheroes.
And other people, like he turned H.G. Wells' Invisible Man into like an appalling rapist.
Well, if I was invisible, no, I'm just
I
kidding.
definitely use it as an excuse to streak.
It is a common, it's a common like. If I was invisible, I'd peep in girls' locker rooms. You know, it makes sense for the character to be a rapist.
Well, he actually is like. He was not a very nice person even in H.G. Wells' book. No. He was the villain of that book.
I saw the movie, the new movie, relatively recently.
It gets even. Oh, sorry, I was really cutting you off there.
Oh no, I'm sorry. I was cutting you off.
The new movie. Yeah, he was always been the dick, the Invisible Man, Griffin.
That's his name.
Yeah.
Kind of a dick name.
Think so.
No. I don't remember this. I mean, I remember this guy in the show. What are like his powers?
Gizmo.
That's Gizmo. Yeah. Okay.
He's a nerdy machine user. Yeah. He was very annoying in the show. TBH. I didn't really like him very much.
He looks annoying. I only vaguely remember his appearance. I don't remember anything else.
He was just kind of a horrible little child.
Okay. I hate that trope.
He'd just like insult everybody every second.
Oh yeah. I remember that. Okay. Starfire looks pained when she's throwing her fireballs.
Yeah, her sprite's a little messed up looking. Maybe I have to do something else to make him drop the barrier. I'm not really sure.
She's doing the anime face too.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's very true to the cartoon. It used a lot of anime-like effects after all.
It has a lot of anime face. Well, I was looking at Turtles in Time, and apparently there was a 3D remake in 2009 that I know about.
Oh no.
So, play that.
I bet that was a masterpiece.
Next time I visit my sister, we can play through it. That'd be a good time. Good back down memory lane.
Yes, exactly. Okay, hitting him with Beast Boy's tiger power seems to work really well.
Okay.
Here we go. We won actually. Alright, that was level 2. So yeah, I'll leave it at there.
And you got all the collectibles.
I did, I'm a master.
Jeez. I guess it's not too hard to do.
But we're switching games now. That was Teen Titans. How'd you feel about that?
Looked fun, but I mean, I'm sure it didn't stand out, especially compared to other very similar Game Boy Advance games.
No, I don't think it was a masterpiece or anything. It did get kind of shitty reviews, possibly worse than it deserved, really.
Yeah, it didn't come across as a game that would deserve really shitty reviews, but
I don't think it fully capitalized on the legitimate gameplay potential that its source material does have, but that's unsurprising.
It felt very it looked really repetitive, I guess.
The combat definitely was quite repetitive. It is more interesting just searching the levels and using the different powers to find the little collectibles. That's probably the fun part of the game, comparatively speaking. Whereas the combat, I guess one of the issues with the combat is it tends to stop you until you beat all the enemies and then you can move on, which is that can get pretty annoying. Generally, I would advise against that as a game design option.
That's right. Listen up, game developers.
Yes. Exdeath, the master game designer, is here to tell you.
Well, you've designed a game.
It's true. I have done that once. Then I didn't program it. Alright.
I can't say I've ever done that.
My thing didn't really even qualify as a game, but okay, we're gonna move on to our next game. We're gonna move on to a classic SNES game.
Ooh.
Yes.
SNES or SNES for short.
Yes, or whatever they called it in France, because this is for a French game.
Yes. Le
This
SNES.
this is by Infogrames, so you might also know from having made Alone in the Dark 2. I think specifically Alone in the Dark 2.
Okay.
And
I was not aware of that.
our first language when we do the language select is Francais, of course, and we have to
Ah,
go down to get our options of English, Deutsch or Espanol. So
okay.
very
Oh wait,
diverse
they
European
mean Latin.
masterpiece, but we'll go with English. Yeah, they do mean Latin. The French have disrespected the Spanish for the last time with this
Yeah.
language selection screen, I think. This is Spirou, which is based on a very
Ah,
lovely Franco-Belgian comic series that I've been somewhat into lately.
true. That certain Goodreads users don't
Disapprove of. Yeah, yeah. There's
don't
been
appreciate their use of red face.
yes, there's been a little bit of criticism about the racism found in various Spirou comics over the years. Although he is also the only fictional character to make the United Nations list of human rights defenders.
Interesting.
Yes, we're gonna open up with this text scroll. So Spirou and his buddy, his heterosexual life partner Fantasio, are going to a scientific conference being held by
Okay.
their buddy, the Count of Champagnac, who's
Is that the Twin Towers?
yes, this is like the '90s, of course.
Yeah.
This game came out.
Now we will watch as Krang descends and steals the Statue of Liberty.
That's not too far off. No. Yes, and New York has also been the recurring theme of these tie-in games for tonight. Although we'll break that with the last one if we get to it. Um. So yes, the Count has disappeared, and Cyanida, who's this gynoid antagonist, has appeared. This evil robot.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she's gonna use his inventions for world domination. So the
Of
whole
course.
story is just conveyed by text scrolls, which doesn't really convey the same sense of fun that the comic
Yes.
books do. But it's
Whimsy.
what you were stuck with, what you could do within the limitations of the SNES's hardware and everything, and probably somewhat limited French video gaming making budget.
Look at the detail on that camera. Wow.
Yes, it is the graphics that this game is most notable for, as we will see with Spirou's character animation, which is probably the game's best
Yeah.
trait. He
Yeah,
has
his squirrel friend.
yes,
Whatever
that's
that is.
Spip.
Okay.
He has very funny French animations. When you jump, he loses his hat for a second and then grabs it again as
Yeah.
he's falling down. And
Oh, that is fun.
he has a funny run. And when you when you stop, he'll do a slidey stop.
Mm-hmm.
And you also have this funny slide move. Spirou does not exactly have a dash move like Mega Man. He has a fucking like fall. And he
Yeah.
also has this funny stompy walk when he goes into the
Floor change
Yeah.
animation. Okay, cool. I do like those animations. As we I said it once and I'll say it again. The French are known for their animations.
yes, this larger comic book franchise that this game is spawned from, I think, is known for demonstrating a good mastery of how to use visuals to convey personalities. Although Spirou comes off as maybe a little bit like I don't know, unsure of himself in this game, which is not completely true to the character in
No,
the
it's not.
comic, who is very very effectual and very energetic and everything.
Okay. I was going to comment on that. Is he looks extremely anxious the whole time. It's interesting to hear that he is not that way in the comic.
Yes. Now, this game is actually quite hard, and what particularly gives it its difficulty is that the health system and life system are very punishing.
Okay.
So you can get hit pretty easily, and I have like 3 times already.
Yes.
You start out with 3 lives, and that's kind of all you get. If you get 50 of the little Spirou hats, you get an extra life, but that's it. And there's not very good, not very generous checkpoints throughout levels. And when you get a game over, as was somewhat traditional of games in this era, you go all the way back to the start.
Yeah. Sounds
Although,
like a SNES game to me.
yeah, there is a password system that lets you resume from halfway through the game and only halfway through the game. There's
No.
only one password, and it's on a very specific level.
I was gonna say just like Star Wars, but no, because that one had a password for every level.
Yeah, this is a
Wow.
very unique implementation of a password system. They surely had the data storage to like have one for every level, but I guess they just, as a design choice, chose to only let you do one from that very specific level, which is quite
Little
odd.
French design.
Yes, yes, definitely.
It tries to hammer home the French philosophical perspective that life is suffering.
Oh, if we pick up that heart, we get healed at least.
Oh, that's nice.
I don't think that's the French philosophical perspective. I think that's more Russian. The French are known for
Yeah,
their joie de vivre. Of course, that's a
they were.
French phrase because it reflects the attitude of the French people. I think
French are known for their hatred of work and their love of strikes,
that's true,
similar to the Italians.
and they're very effective military, of course,
Yes, well,
throughout
they're
most of
they're
human
more.
history.
Um,
I've heard that it has been speculated that they would do pretty well if they were in like a modern war
oh,
situation.
sure, yeah, I'm sure.
Like out
I
of
mean, it
all the
depends on
countries you
who's who
could go to
lives.
war with, France would not be high on the list of best options.
Sure, it's just like it's people tend to look at the scale of like the U.S. and competitors, and the
Yeah,
U.S. like so obscenely ahead militarily.
the
But
navy
if you
thing
ignore
is
that,
ridiculous. I think their navy is like bigger than every other navy in the world combined.
my,
Oh, so these birds, if they peck your hands, you'll fall. I don't think you take damage from it though. At least,
okay, that's good. Wow,
yeah,
usually in real life they'll just fly away.
I know these are these are like New York birds.
Oh yeah, yeah, they're not afraid of people. It's their city. They're pigeons.
Oh shit! I got electrocuted. You kind of have to
Uh,
wait for the
yeah.
electricity to travel, which I didn't do.
Here's something I learned not recently, but I had to learn it is a pigeon and a dove. It's the same bird.
Oh yeah, I think I've heard that before.
Hmm. A dove is just a white pigeon, or well, it depends. A mourning dove, those are brown. We get those brown here. They're large.
Oh, I didn't want to wait for the bird to peck because I was worried I'd get electrocuted if I did that.
You have to wait for both. The synchronization of the electrocution.
Yeah, it's quite difficult.
Here's a pedantic fun fact: is the word electrocute specifically refers to dying from electricity. So you're really
Nice.
just getting shocked
I suppose so. Yeah.
because it's a portmanteau of electric and execute.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Oh, the bird gets shocked too. That's fun.
Yes, which actually does serve a gameplay purpose because it gives you a window of opportunity to climb along
Yeah.
without getting pecked at.
Oh, okay. This game's not so hard. It helps you out.
Well, the type of difficulty it has does come more from like there's two types of difficulty, right? How easy it is to avoid things, and then how much you get punished from avoiding things. In this game, comes the difficulty of it comes more from being high on the second thing, the punishment levels.
Just
Another
like
aspect of which is that you do
Dark Souls.
not get healed between levels, so I barely
Ooh,
scraped through that level, and I'll be on my last life, well, my
that
last
is
hit
rough.
when I start the next one. Yeah.
Okay.
So this this text troll tells us that what's her name? The villain here points a just like
Cyanida.
yes, that's right. She shrinks Spirou down, and
Yes.
he's now tiny, and he doesn't really explain why he's now in a toy shop though. That's just kind of
Oh yeah.
incidental.
He's not only tiny, he's specifically 10 centimeters tall.
Yes, and he's in a toy shop, but
As an
she
American, it's
doesn't
very
really
confusing.
look different than how he was. Like it's not like Earthbound where we have a very tiny Spirou sprite, as cool as that would be, but we're just in a little area. In fact, I think Spip has been shrunk down with us, so he's proportionally just as small as his normal self is compared to regular size Spirou.
Hmm.
Even though I don't think he got shot with it. That's okay though. Now we're in the
Reminds
toy
me of
shop level.
there was like oh man, wow, I just had like a memory flashback. There was a impossible flash game
Mm.
where like you're like shrunk during a level and you were in like a similar kind of environment, I think.
Yeah, this seems like a classic, shrunk level sort of
Yeah, I mean, but specifically it reminded me of
Kim Possible Flash game.
Flash.
Yeah,
That was a good show.
I liked it. Yeah, I didn't rewatch the whole thing recently, but I did watch one or two episodes, and it was fun. It was a
Hmm.
very that came out back in the day when there was very much a divide between shows for boys and for girls, and it somewhat managed to bridge that divide.
Yeah, very true. Like my sister and I both enjoyed that show. Although I guess my sister tended to enjoy what would be called boy shows. She
Yeah,
liked that one more because it had a strong girl character.
yeah. like many superhero type of shows, it had the double life sort of thing going on. So Kim Possible would, be going on spy adventures half the time, and then she'd be dealing with her personal life in high school and stuff the other half, which is a little bit more in line with girl show fare, as it were. Um,
Mm-hmm.
this is also true of, I believe, both Lizzie McGuire and Hannah Montana, which were
Oh yeah.
they also had the double life aspect. I mean,
Wait, did Lizzie McGuire had a double life thing?
I think so. Maybe I'm wrong.
Maybe I'm wrong. I'm wrong. I remember watching that show, but I
Hannah Montana definitely did.
yeah, Hannah Montana definitely 100%. Lizzie McGuire. No, I think yeah, no, I think Lizzie McGuire is just about a teenage girl.
Isn't she like a pop star as well, though?
She's played by
Maybe she doesn't have like a secret identity.
uh
I don't know. I really don't know Lizzie
uh
McGuire. My
yeah,
sister
no, but
liked it.
I think not. I think she's just a regular teenage girl.
My sister's name is Elizabeth, and she started calling herself Lizzie around the same time that Lizzie
Oh,
McGuire was popular.
that's fun.
And then nowadays, each prefers Liz, I think.
Mm,
Oh my
that's
god.
seems like
A more
sort of
adult,
logical progression.
I suppose so.
I don't know. If my name was Elizabeth, I'd make people say the whole thing.
Yeah. Well, her friends and everything will still refer to her as Liz, but my parents and I always say Elizabeth.
Uh,
I think my brother uses Liz, though.
okay.
He spends more time with her. They lived together until recently.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I when I was a kid, I always had like hang-ups around calling people by shortened versions of their names. I don't know why, but I would like
Isn't that like a
always.
favorite thing of Russians?
It is, yeah. But I would always call people by their
Okay,
full
so
name. So, like, I had a friend Matt when I was a kid, but everyone called him Matt, but I would always say Matthew.
Matthew.
So I might have even called her had I known her. I would have called her Elizabeth, despite her preference.
But
I don't know. I never
nowadays, you're more lax about nicknames.
I don't care at all. No, I mean, I never had a nickname because I guess my name is only two syllables. But I told that to my college friends, and they like forced. They call me Dre sometimes. Like
Like
not
Dr.
even that
Dre.
often. They're just like, well, yeah. Well, so I've been called Dr. Dre. I've been called Andre 3000. Under the Giant. Those are all fun little
Oh
twists.
yeah, you could be called Andre Frankin after one of the Belgian comic makers who did Spirou.
Oh, there you go. I'll bring that up next time. You see my friends. But yeah, they did like a couple of them call me Dre here and there, but really I've only ever gone by Andre. I never really had the nickname thing. Even in Russian, Andrei, I don't think Andrei has like a
Oh,
short
yeah.
version of it.
Great name,
Well,
Russian.
you have yeah, there's Andrusha, but that's longer. So,
Yeah, I guess nicknames aren't always about shortening
right.
necessarily.
They often are. Sasha for Alexander and Kostya for Konstantin.
Sometimes they're about sounding funny. So I guess Andre the Giant would be like your version of like Parker being called Peter Parker or Parkerino or whatever.
Kind of, yeah.
Did they ever do that? They ever go like Andre the Giant when they walk in a
No,
room and
it
see
wasn't to make it was like it was I mean it was making fun of me for being what was
weird
it, thin,
about
thin.
nicknames? Yeah.
No. It was just making fun of me being like thin and weak. They were like, "Oh, call him Under the Giant."
Oh,
It's
I
like,
see.
God.
Yeah,
But it
yeah,
wasn't like malicious. It was funny. Like it was just like calling me the Beast in weight training class. You know, I liked it. It was fun.
I think that would have made me upset as a youth.
Oh well, I mean that's also understandable. But no, I had a good time with it.
You're not as insecure.
No, I mean
That's
it
why
wasn't
you
like
never were aggressively unfunny. I was only
that's
aggressively unfunny to cover up my insecurity.
yeah that tends to happen.
I'm similar to Oscar in that way.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oscar was also aggressively unfunny.
She was yeah generally very humorless.
And very aggressive.
Who Shinji also didn't really have much of a sense of humor. He was also insecure.
No, I guess only Misato really had that.
Yeah, I was also like Ray. Also no, Misato and what's his name? The
Kaiji? Yeah. Or
yeah,
Kaji.
Kaji. Yeah,
Yeah. He was a very nuanced kind of guy.
He
He had a
was.
lot wrong with him, but he was actually quite good with the kids. Even Shinji,
Yeah.
who
And what's great
might have
is
been a somewhat hard kid to deal with because he was just so mopey.
Shinji.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, for a 14-year-old, I was probably similarly mopey, which may have meant
Mm,
I was hard to deal with, but it's like I think that's pretty normal for
true.
being a teen. So
I guess my perspective is somewhat distorted from being on my anime list and seeing some of the discourse surrounding Evangelion, where some people are very,
well,
very unsympathetic towards that character.
yeah, because a bunch of
Who I always
adults
thought was
enjoy
very
anime.
realistically portrayed.
Yeah, well, no,
Uh,
totally. I mean, I don't trust adults who enjoy anime to be emotionally mature enough to analyze a 14-year-old. Okay,
I do sometimes think that's the problem.
I think that is. I mean, I was being facetious, but I think that is
I don't
an
necessarily mean
honestly pretty
adults who
candid
like
problem for some
anime, but
people.
some
So,
people sometimes I read critique of fiction where it does really feel like it's the person sort of projecting their own emotional insecurities onto the show when they have this
yeah,
very like hateful vision of the characters. I
yeah.
might dig up another French animation review of the Illuminist that I saw that kind of made me feel that way.
Mm.
The Illusionist rather,
Illusionist.
not Illuminist.
Illusionist. That's a good movie.
Yeah, we're probably thinking of different movies, but
Yes, I think we are. But I always got that and the Prestige kind of mixed up because it's like both movies about magicians.
well, this movie is really called L'Illusioniste, of course, because
Yeah,
it's French.
is the movie I'm thinking of even called The Illusionist? I think it is. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh no, wait, hold on. 2006 romantic mystery film. No, yeah, The Illusionist. Yeah, this is not.
Yeah, L'Illusioniste is a French animated movie from like
Hmm.
2010 or something.
It stars Edward Norton. I like him
Oh
generally.
yeah, that's the Fight Club guy.
Fight Club. Yeah, and he plays the. He's also in that movie, The Heist with Robert De Niro,
Oh yeah,
where he plays a guy pretending to be mentally challenged.
it's not very PC.
Um, I mean, it's not supposed to be. It's like a thief taking advantage of people's perception of the mentally challenged to gain their trust. So
Oh, I see.
makes sense.
It's not
But
very woke though.
no, it's not really. He's not a woke guy. Um, what I was gonna say. Anyway, yeah, Evangelion. It's good. Good show.
I liked it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Mary Iscariot, everyone's favorite character,
Oh
plays
yeah,
the
she had
Redeemer.
more of a sense of humor. That's true.
Apparently, I didn't know this. This it was uh wow, fuck, what's his name? The creator.
Riekiano.
Yeah, I don't know. His like
Oh,
his that's how he sees his wife as having dropped out of the sky and like saved him. So that's why that like
oh, I
Mary
didn't realize he
Iscariot's.
was married. That's
Oh yeah,
really
yeah, yeah.
that really conflicts with my like view of Hideaki Anno. I always thought he
No,
was a
he
depressed loner otaku.
well, so he was right, and then
Mm,
his wife apparently came into his life and brought sunshine into his life, and so that's why
I see.
in the manga and the the rebuilds, that's what Mary Iscariot literally she drops out of the sky and
Yeah,
like helps Shinji, and so that's supposed to be his
that's why he
his
ends
wife,
up with her and not Asuka.
right? Because I guess he's Hideaki Anno and Mary Iscariot is his wife. Stupid. I can't. I only say that out of spite. Stupid.
Mm.
Make a reference, I guess.
I do still sort of wish Shinji and Asuka had been the canon at the end, but some people do point out,
Ooh.
not too unreasonably, that their relationship is toxic.
Yeah, but they're 14. Like
Hmm.
they can easily. I think they can easily work through all that toxicity,
Yeah.
right?
Well, the version of Shinji we see at the end of First Upon a Time probably could. I
Sure.
think to me it's more meaningful, like because Shinji always wants to be accepted despite all that's wrong with him. So I think it fits better if he shows that by also accepting someone who is equally as flawed as him, which would be best represented by Asuka instead
Yeah.
of Mary, who has fewer of the deep psychological problems that characterize the rest of the cast of that show.
You say fewer. I'd say none.
Yeah,
And
basically none. Yeah.
yeah. accepted for who I am, and there is like,
Yeah, she very easily does it, which has
Sure.
less gravitas and meaning to it than Asuka and Shinji being able to work their shit out
yeah.
because of how hard earned that would feel. Oh my god, got another game.
This week on TNP, can Exdeath make it over the blocks?
No, I can't. It's hard at first because like you have to jump down onto a set of blocks that is like off screen, so you can't even like tell where you have to jump to. Then the jump, I think you might not even be supposed to do it this way. The first level is actually short though; it doesn't take that long to get back. I'm not sure. I might, if I get another game over, we might just move on to the next game. Because once you've seen Spirou's excellent animation, that is sort of the main standout characteristic the game has.
We saw that in the first 5 minutes.
Otherwise, it does, yeah. Otherwise, it is not too different from most other, you know, tie-in platformers of the era.
Yeah. Oops. We're talking about some before Evangelion. I also felt like I had an unfinished thought, but that's not important.
Talk about movies with magicians in them, and then that came from people reviewing stuff that, based on like their own psychological issues rather than, I guess, more legitimate critique.
That was probably it, but I don't remember the thought now, so it's all right.
And then nicknames and everything, and you with your friends in college and how they made fun of you, but you liked it.
Yeah, I like being made fun of. I like any form of attention.
Is that what it is? That's something you have in common with Asuka, then.
Oh yeah, that's true. I also behave promiscuously for attention.
Yes. Same.
I dress like Christina
Same
Aguilera.
TBH. I thought I was the only one.
Oh yeah.
I have both Christina Aguilera's outfit from the 1999 Kids' Choice Awards and Asuka's plug suit in my closet.
Oh, hell yeah, dude.
Oh, fuck.
Oh, I was gonna say, you were upset about Asuka not being the canon ship.
Yeah.
With Shinji, but I wouldn't consider I don't consider the rebuilds very canon.
True.
She is.
My inclination is kind of just to ignore them at this point. They were interesting to watch once as a curio for a fan, but overall,
there were things I liked about the ending. Right, it's like a certain way to end things that's very different from the original, and maybe not equally as profound, but has its own things to say. But there are so many other things that I just like didn't care for at all.
Well, I do
really like the song at the end. I put it on my playlist of songs.
You mean One Last Kiss, or
yeah, One Last Kiss.
Yeah. It is catchy. I like Utada Hikaru.
Yeah.
I respect her. She actually like studied English for the sake of her career. Yeah.
I feel like a lot of Japanese people study English.
Well, a lot of J-pop stars just try to read out English words phonetically, and it sounds very weird.
Yeah.
Utada Hikaru's English diction is much better because of the formal education she got in it or whatever. She's also the singer for the Kingdom Hearts games, like the main themes of each of those.
Okay.
Of which the first one, Simple and Clean, I think is actually very good, and even has fairly good lyrics.
Simple and Clean.
Yes. She says, don't get me wrong, I love you. What does that mean? I have to meet your father. And she also, another line in that song is, what hold me, whatever lies beyond this morning, is a little later on, which is more like deep than it sounds. Because it sounds like a redundantly obvious statement, but it's a vision of two lovers, like just living in a ideal morning that they have together.
That's what I got from it. I wouldn't say it's banal.
Yeah.
Banal.
I do actually like that line.
Yeah, I do too. I liked it even before you told me I was supposed to like it.
Alright, I've made it back to the dreaded blocks. Let's see me fail once again. I like that you bounce off the teddy bear tummy.
Yes. It is very nice, very bouncy. This also, of course, reminds me of the PS1 Toy Story game.
Yes, it is similar to that.
Did you play that?
In the background, no. It was an SNES Toy Story game as well.
There was also that. I think it was a PS1, PSX.
I think you play as Buzz in the PlayStation 1 and Woody in the SNES one.
Yeah, you do play as Buzz. Yeah, wow, I loved that game as a kid. I played it all the time. I had like a very small number of games that my dad
Yeah,
runs for me. That was one.
that's the thing about playing games as a kid is you only have some. You only have so many.
Yeah, I had that. I had
Oh,
Warcraft
God.
3, Spider Man, and Star Wars Starfighter. A lot of good memories with all those. Ooh, Jedi Knight 2, Jedi Outcast. Good one.
Classic. Remember one of the few games I had on Game Boy Advance was Yoshi's Island, so I played a lot of that growing up.
Oh yeah, I remember when my dad like got me those games, and he got me like Warcraft 3 and Jedi Knight 2, Jedi Outcast at the same time. He was like, "Did you like them?" I was like, "Well, I like the Jedi game, but I'm not really interested in playing the other one, Warcraft 3." He was like, "Oh, why not?" He was like, "Well, it's not Star Wars."
Yeah, that's the kind of stupid ass opinions kids have.
Yeah. Hey, they're both really good games, so it's not like I was missing out
True.
on a better game. Although I guess
I think you kind of were, considering
it's
the overall historical importance of each of those two games to gaming as a medium, but that is definitely not the type of thing you think of as a kid.
no, yeah, Warcraft 3 is probably a better game overall, but they're both very, very good. So,
Yeah, Star Wars did have some actually very, very legit
I think
tie-in games.
Star Wars is like best uh, forms of media were video games. I mean, like the OG movies too.
Yeah,
But
after that, I would
after
agree with
that,
you.
even like during the times of the prequels, you had like Red Republic Commando was great. Even Star Wars Starfighter was a lot of fun.
KOTOR.
KOTOR, yeah. Even the Phantom Menace game that is like really
That
terrible.
has interesting
Really funny.
characteristics.
Yeah.
Be careful, Obi-Wan. I need more room to fight.
Yeah. Oh my god.
That
That
game
was
will always hold a special place in my heart.
dude, yeah, I also played that so much as a kid. Not even because I
Never
liked it.
got past like the third level, but I played it a lot as a
I
kid.
also I got stuck. I got stuck on I don't remember. It wasn't the third level. It was like the whenever you get to Tatooine, I could not get past. I beat it
I
eventually.
think most of my playtime was in the Gungan level.
Oh, that's the worst one.
Yeah, I
I
remember. I remember I just get really bored and like kill the Gungans and kill
yeah.
Qui-Gon.
I watched a speed run of that recently, and apparently, what you're supposed to do is piss off the Gungans, and then you like wall hack through a wall or something, and they can
That
never get
sounds
you.
like the speed
Crazy,
run.
yeah.
I honestly don't know what you're supposed to do at this point. I think you do just jump from one block to the next, but I cannot get that to work.
Oh, yeah.
What a shame.
He was a good Spirou.
Spirou, by the way, was originally a bellboy, which is why his outfit looks like this.
Oh yeah, he looks.
They're called a hotel groom in French, a slightly more glamorous sounding title for it.
It is, yeah.
But he's more of an investigative journalist slash adventurer in most of the later comics. Yeah, so Franquin, his run on the comic, he kind of like redefined what it was and defined it because it was someone else, I forget the name, who actually invented the character as a
Mm-hmm.
bellboy. But most of them, most series defining stuff is from Franquin's run, including his design. He sort of redesigned what the character looks like. The outfit's basically the same, but the face and stuff got redesigned. And then also the introduction of Fantasio, his sidekick, and the Marsupilami, who also would go on to have his own spin-off. There's a Disney show of Marsupilami, actually.
Ooh,
Those were
okay.
all Franquin. And then the other most prominent run is the Tome and Janry one, which I think those are both pen names, which was the 90s. So yeah, that's some Spirou fun facts. We'll move on to the next game though, because I'm just gonna keep fucking losing this stupid second level over and over again.
I will take a quick break.
Okay,
Move
we'll do it. Let's try this again. The Infogrames was actually a relatively like legit developer. That was kind of the key to having a good time game, was just to hire somebody who actually makes video games to do it. Best exemplified by Disney, who would get Capcom to do their games, as seen in Aladdin and some others.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of spin-off platformers were legitimately good games.
Yeah, Aladdin is held in pretty high regard nowadays.
Isn't the Lion King platformer like, I don't know if it's well known because it's good or just because it's really hard?
It's definitely not as good as Aladdin.
Sure.
Unlike in the case of the movies, I would definitely take Lion King out of the two.
Is Lion King 2 better than Aladdin 2?
Almost certainly, yeah. I haven't seen Aladdin 2.
2 was pretty bad.
All the Disney directed video sequels are really bad, with like 1 to 2 arguable exceptions. The Lion King 2 being one of them. An extremely goofy movie is definitely an exception to that rule. And then you can argue for the Lion King ones. Because, there are some crazy people here and there who will stick up for Lion King 1.5.
Yeah, my wife really hates that one.
Yes.
I always thought she was being dramatic, but
The Lion King is her favorite movie, right?
it is, yeah.
But that did not cause her to hate The Lion King 2019, so who knows?
No, but because she just likes seeing The Lion King again.
That's exactly what Lion King 1.5 is.
Maybe she just wants to see The Lion King again without additional commentary. I don't know.
I guess so. I guess that must be it.
You're an expert at getting past these birds now.
You jinxed me by saying that. I didn't get the heart because I fell.
I'm sorry.
There's good comedic timing, at least.
Yeah.
I think Spirou would be proud of that comedic timing.
Is that what he's known for?
Definitely, yeah.
Okay.
That and his strong commitment to justice.
Oh, sure. And the integrity of journalism.
Yes. Whereas Fantasio is the more hot-headed of the two.
How strict are you about definition of journalism? Like, would you consider like a YouTube video essayist to be like a journalist?
I guess my stance on that is I don't care.
Okay. Sure. That is a perfectly acceptable answer. I don't know why. I was thinking about it earlier today. I was like, I guess I would consider them to be doing journalism technically if you're doing like research and then presenting it in a trying to present it in an unbiased way. I don't know if I'd consider them a journalist.
If it's an unbiased way, do you think the level of bias affects whether it should be determined as journalism or not?
No, as proven by multiple journalists. But like yellow journalism, right? Wasn't that a movement towards journalism becoming entertaining? Right?
Yeah, at the cost of its journalistic integrity.
Yeah. So, no, I don't think it makes it less journalistic, but I personally like it less because I like the, I like things to be less biased. But
I think it might make it less journalistic, but it doesn't necessarily, not necessarily to the extent that it disqualifies it as journalism, I suppose.
Sure, that's fair.
I remember that Yahtzee, his friend, called him a game journalist, and he seemed very hesitant to take up that definition of himself. But I think that's partially because game journalist has sort of a negative connotation nowadays.
Yeah, it kind of does.
which is just because of the low standard that other game journalists have held themselves to, and I suppose the
Sure.
poor quality of their writing.
Yeah,
Yahtzee
Yahtzee is
is
always
primarily a critic, which is perhaps able to be distinguished from journalism.
sure. There you go. You did it.
Yes, and now you can hang off of the balloons, also somewhat reminiscent of Yoshi's Island.
Oh yeah. Sure.
Looks like Spirou is getting a bit of a leg workout doing this.
Yeah, yeah. Doing some swinging.
It's for momentum when he jumps off, I guess.
Sure. That is, a lot of games have that swinging mechanic where you build momentum.
Yeah, not this one. He just kind of does this. No. It's just the animation.
Sure.
This is a funny enemy. Teeth. Oh, that's cute. Spip jumps on the bear too. He's giving me a hint. I wish he'd been doing that in the last time I needed to jump off a bear.
He's having a good time while you're suffering.
The sound effects for when Spirou pushes these blocks is kind of horrible.
Oh yeah.
I got to jump on that airplane. Yeah, there it comes. Oh, I fell off.
Either you jump on it or it'll hurt you. It's one of the two.
And the only way to find out is by guesswork.
Sure.
This was how we liked it back in the day.
Right. We liked our games brutal.
Harsh but fair, I think is how I'd describe this.
I don't know. Well, sure. I don't know if all games were fair, but definitely harsh.
So
Gaiden, for example.
Yeah, the knocking you off a pit mechanic is kind of questionable. Oh, yeah. With eagles and stuff in Ninja Gaiden.
Eagles, yeah.
Castlevania also used that trick a bit. Zelda 2 as well, it was very common.
Oh yeah.
It was considered normal. Mega Man as well, though you didn't get knocked as far in Mega Man. But you could still get knocked into spikes and stuff.
Yeah.
And instantly die. That's Mega Man's weakness, is spikes for some reason.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, you know, I wouldn't like to jump into spikes either, personally, so...
Yeah, but you know, you can get hit by like a screw or something and it does a small amount of damage, but spikes just instant kill him.
Mm-hmm. Reminds me of that quote. I can't remember who posted it. Maybe it was Null on AFT about, what's his name? The creator of Ninja Gaiden, where they had the level with the fish floating around as like, you know, just atmosphere.
Oh yeah.
And he was like, they have to be enemies. It's an action game. It's like, oh my god, what a stupid opinion. I guess it worked if you know, like the game is known for being just like unapologetically difficult. So anything to add to that, I guess, helps it in that regard. But it could have easily gone the other way. It's like this game is too hard and it sucks. You know?
Yeah. I guess it was just this overall skill of the designers to balance it out enough.
So I certainly don't agree with the fact that every entity on your screen has to be able to hurt you.
No.
On an action game.
That would be silly.
Yeah.
There's another funny quote from him where he says that like testers on the Ninja Gaiden Black, right up the Xbox One, played a level and said it was too difficult, so his response was to make it even more difficult.
That's right. I remember that. Yeah. That's fun. So I guess it worked out for him. I guess the one I played is Ninja Gaiden Black on the... Oh no, it was Sigma, the one they made it easier.
No, I don't know if I've ever played any of them.
They have... I don't know. Like, to me, they really do suffer from being too difficult. Like, just like can be really frustrated. Like the environments and stuff are cool. There's really cool boss fights. You know, the stuff that you look for in those types of games. But you know, I always really prefer Devil May Cry for being like challenging, but also a lot more fair. Whereas Ninja Gaiden, like, I beat it pretty easily, but you can exploit the juggle mechanic and just fight enemies in the air where they can't hurt you. And by doing that, you can beat the game, but that's like not very fun. So,
true.
Yeah. But neither for me.
I like Bayonetta the most.
Bayonetta
Actually, Bayonetta's the only one I've played, so that's not a fair comparison.
Well, but Bayonetta is like, in my opinion, the best, even compared to. Oh, that ball's really fucking you up.
Yeah, so to get under those blocks you have to do, Spirou's a little slide,
Oh, the slide, yeah.
which I'm not very used to. And if you mess it up once because you don't have a running start anymore, you're kind of done. You can't, because he doesn't have like a crawling move or anything.
Yeah, Bayonetta is the best one.
Oh,
I like
yeah.
Devil May Cry 3 the best personally, but as far as like gameplay goes, Bayonetta is better.
Devil May Cry 3 is definitely considered a good game.
That is the game snobs choice. I'll be right back. I'm gonna wash my hands off.
Alright, I'm just gonna practice this slide for a bit. Get myself hit there. That's probably not really a big difference maker. I'll just get flattened because I can't make it under that thing anyway. Yeah, I'm doing something very wrong. It keeps bouncing off of it. Alright. Okay, I think I had to start it a lot earlier than I thought, this slide.
Oh yeah, there you go. You look like you kept kind of running into the block preemptively. So that makes sense.
Yeah.
This reminds me of the giant ball enemy that chases you in Elden.
There we go. There's the game over. All right, that's it. That's it for Spirou. We're gonna switch to the last game. Tragic.
It was a good attempt.
Yes. Right, so the last game is actually one of Capcom's Disney games that's a little more underrated to my mind when compared to Aladdin, and that's Goof Troop, of course. Although this game was very heavily designed around co-op, so it will miss a lot showing it off one player.
Okay. I feel like I might even this game, but maybe not. Maybe I just watched the movie a lot.
I actually have the SNES cartridge, and when new people come over, I like to make them play it with me.
Okay. Should they ever come back?
Yes, it's a really good first date idea. Is Goof Troop on SNES.
Sure.
This is kind of one of the earlier examples of like heavily co-op based gameplay. You can pick Goofy or Max. I picked Max. He's faster. I think Goofy does more damage when throwing things, which is the main offensive method you have. So in very advanced cooperative gameplay, Goofy will Max will fetch the things for Goofy to throw, because you can pass them to each other. You can go around with your arms up like this, and if the other player throws something to you while your arms are up, you'll just catch it automatically.
I've 100% played this game, but alone, so I guess I missed out on the best part.
Yeah.
But
it's very much based around co-op.
This is extremely familiar to me.
Yeah,
I remember because you can move. There's like some room you have to move those blocks onto platforms, and you can like do it the wrong order and fuck yourself over.
Yeah, and you have to reset the room. Somewhat akin to Pokemon's sliding block puzzles.
Oh yeah, that's right. Then later you're like on a pirate ship.
Yes, that's the last level.
Spoilers, I guess. But, yeah.
Now, when you're playing on your own, you can hold 2 items, because it's not possible to complete the game without 2 at once. But you only have 1 slot when you're playing 2-player, and have to split them between you, which is
What system was this on?
SNES.
Oh, okay. I think I might have even just played this as like a Flash version online.
Oh, possibly.
I'm not sure I ever played this on
Did you like
SNES.
the Goof Troop show or something?
Yeah, I did. That's right. Yeah, I forgot there was a show, but yes, I did like that show.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I like Goofy Movie a little more than Goof Troop though.
Sure.
Because it has more of an emotional core to it.
Yeah, I watched that movie a lot. Both of them. I think I'm a fan of Goofy Movie 2.
Extremely Goofy movie. Yeah.
Extremely goofy movie. That was my jam as a kid.
Goofy movie 2, Goof Harder, as it's sometimes known.
Right. Yeah. Goof movie 2. Goofy goes to college.
Electric Goofaloo.
Electric Goofaloo. Yeah, that's a classic Reddit joke.
I think that predates Reddit.
Really, people that's like constantly spammed on Reddit.
Yeah, people aren't very funny on Reddit.
No.
They're not very original, I guess, is their issue.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like once you're familiar with like the 4 jokes that were originally somewhat funny, is like you recognize people referencing them constantly. It is annoying.
Okay, we got the plank thing. This is very similar to Zelda, of course. The original Zelda, I mean, where you had to get a little, I don't know, like raft that you could use to cross very small bodies of water.
Sure. If you were an alpha male like Alexander the Great, you would create your own land bridge.
True. Not that alpha.
No.
I'm more of a Sigma male, which is refers to the types of men who play Ninja Gaiden Sigma.
Yeah, right. The easier version.
Yes.
I read recently a historical fun fact about Alexander the Great, where he was so bisexual that he kept having sex with young men, and his father was so annoyed at him doing that he sent him like a large number of concubines to like wean him off of sex with men.
Interesting.
And so Alexander the Great just had like a huge orgy with like all of his male lovers and the new concubines.
Yeah, I think that's gonna that plan would probably not work out.
Thanks.
That was one of the societies that knew how to celebrate the male form the most historically. Yeah. Very gay.
His dad had such a problem with it, allegedly.
Yeah.
Assuming the fact is true.
It wasn't really like frowned upon nearly as much in ancient Greece. In fact, they had like rules for how gay sex should be done.
Yeah. Which it was frowned upon if you were on the receiving end, I think.
That was Rome. It was the Roman head to top. That was
this dominance issue.
Yeah, the Roman head to top, and the it had to be like somebody from another ethnicity that was bottoming for the Roman.
Wow.
Yeah. That otherwise it was fine as long as you followed that rule. So it wasn't like a gay or straight issue. It was just that.
It was like that's right. You didn't want to be submissive. It wasn't the gender that was the issue.
You don't want to disgrace Rome by submitting to somebody who is not Roman.
Exactly. Yeah, Romans had fun, like they would write like banter on their artillery shells, or not shells, but whatever they're fucking called, that you shoot out of a catapult.
A trebuchet or a ballista?
Yeah, trebuchet, well, not a ballista, but like on the ball that you shoot out of.
Okay.
Yeah. They would write like Septimus has a small dick or whatever. Like they just like fuck with each other and then just launch it at the enemy. Very juvenile, but you know what? It keeps morale up. It's fun.
Military boys are always juvenile.
True.
They're secret. They say that's my secret captain. I'm always juvenile.
You got to keep your morale up. In Rome, I think the legionaries had to serve for like 30 years before they could retire, which is like...
That's a long time to be in the military.
Exactly. Basically guaranteed to die.
Yeah, it's unlikely to survive for that long.
But, if you do, then you get a nice plot of land and a nice wife. So, there you go.
True, it's all worth it in the end.
But yeah, I remember this room being hard.
The left side's trickier.
Yeah,
right side's pretty straightforward.
Right.
I might have already fucked it.
You might have. because you need.
Yeah, I think I needed to use this block to manipulate where the other block goes.
Yep. Classic.
Oh yeah, that's actually very straightforward.
Finally, you're playing a game that I've played that I didn't recommend. What a coincidence.
Yeah. Who would have thought it would be Goof Troop for SNES?
I also, not me. no memory of this game until you started playing. Like, wait a minute.
Sparked your memory. Yeah, this is an underrated gem.
Good game.
It's not that phenomenal or anything, but it is a pretty solid game.
Yeah.
It was designed by the same guy who would go on to direct Resident Evil 4.
Ooh, I didn't know that. That is the best Resident Evil game that ever will be made, apparently.
Probably.
Made and remade.
It is a classic. It's one of the all-time greats, really.
Yeah, I think the remake is going to be bad.
It's not as good as Okami, though.
Well, they should remake that.
I think that's the same director as Devil May Cry and stuff, though.
Yeah, right.
Not Resident Evil.
Well, RE4 was originally going to be a DMC game, right? So.
Isn't it the other way around? Isn't DMC originally going to be RE4 or something?
Well, yeah. Well, okay, yeah, that's what I meant. But, you know, yeah, right. The game that became Devil May Cry was originally what was going to be called... No, wait, hold on. Oh, shit.
I think it was that Devil May Cry somehow came out as a result of, like, the weird development process that Resident Evil 4 went through.
Yeah. That's a good phrase. My disjointed.
I don't really know the specifics of it beyond that, though.
Yeah, the Hookman version, I think it was.
You can kill the porcupines with the grappling hook if you just shoot it out at them. Certain enemies are susceptible to this and some aren't. That's another Goof Troop gameplay nuance.
Oh yeah, right. So
pirates are not. See, they'll just get pushed back by it.
No, they're too big. They're bigger than you.
Exactly.
Yeah, Hideki
Kamiya
was directing the first version of RE4, and he wanted to make it a cool and stylish action game. So they didn't. In the end, they decided that didn't sound very Resident Evil, but then they spun off into Devil May Cry. Yeah.
I see. Yeah. And he also made Okami, which is an artistic masterpiece and very fun to say as well. But you have to kind of stretch out the O because it has the accent on it. Otherwise, it's not that fun to say.
That's correct. Yes, that's the right way to do it.
Yes.
It's more fun if you do it right.
Yes, exactly. That's the beautiful, one of the many beautiful lessons that Okami taught us all.
That was the same studio that did Beautiful Joe.
Clover Studio, yeah.
Clover Studio, yeah.
And I think they kind of like became whatever they're in now, part of Capcom or whatever. Kind of like how Studio Trigger came from Gainax and like went on to be in anime.
Right.
It's like it's not as sad as some studios folding because it's kind of a continuation of what they were doing in the new studio. Oh, Black Isle and Obsidian is another good example of that.
And Looking Glass, they didn't really become a different studio. They just like split up into. Well, maybe I guess Eidos took a lot of their guys. Looking Glass made Thief and System Shock 2. And a lot of those guys moved on to make every other immersive sim because nobody else really makes those. Dishonored and...
like that team. Are they on that team?
I think so. At least devs that worked on the OG like games that defined that genre. I think
that team that makes the technically competent but very forgettable games.
Yes. Yeah.
Arcane, I think it's called. Not as good as
Arcane.
The TV show of the same name, of course.
Right, but the team has a K.
That's right. That's their problem. That's the root of all their troubles. Is that K?
Victor took the K.
Yes.
There's a C in the title.
He sees the means of production of Ks.
Yeah. He had all the Ks.
For the proletariat.
He had the one K in the shows.
Yes.
So then you have, Caitlyn has a C, could have had a K, but no.
That's true.
Jace could have been Jake, but no.
Yeah, he was Jake until Victor stole his K.
Yeah, stole his K, yeah. Damn, wow. A lot of characters.
What a scoundrel, what a rascal.
Now, Tom Kench, he's not in the show, but, you know, he maintains the K. If he ever appears in the show, that'll be a contender. Which is deserved, because he's the best character.
Victor had the only K and the only Kane.
Oh, yeah.
They said it was Arcane, but it was actually only Victor's. Actually, I think Silco might have had a Kane at some point.
It's possible. He seems like the type of guy who would have a Kane, but I don't actually remember him ever having one. I think you were right in saying that Victor had the only Kane he refused to share.
Yeah. I thought he was a communist icon, but I guess not.
Well, the real communists
were the friends we made along the way. Yes, true. They're more anarchist, I think.
Like real, yeah, definitely. Well, like modern communists are definitely just anarchists. Antifa.
Well, there's the people who like say they're communists while sitting in their luxurious apartments and wearing designer clothes and all that stuff, as we discussed before, or a fucking embarrassment.
Right.
See, I definitely hate Hassan more than I hate Jordan Peterson.
The only thing I know about Hassan is you're familiar with Sam Hyde, right?
Not really, no.
Okay. He's a weird guy, but like he's always playing a character, right? I don't think I've ever seen him be especially genuine.
Sure.
Which is like that was the whole point of iDubbbz's like whiny video, is that fucking Sam Hyde played him the whole time, which is true. But
I'm completely like unfamiliar with this drama.
Oh, okay. So it's not like, I mean, you probably won't find it especially interesting, but so you're familiar with iDubbbz, right?
Yeah.
He used to do the content cop videos.
Yeah, that was him.
He switched to doing more like in-depth interviews of people that were like somewhat famous, YouTube famous, or like drifted into obscurity. So he did one on this kid called Airsoft Fatty, who made these like Star Wars videos, and he's this like incredibly obese kid who lives in like rural Michigan and just lives this like weird life. And that video is genuinely entertaining as like a glimpse into like rural, like poor America, and this kid's life and his like drama with his friends. You know, like doesn't matter on a large scale at all, but it's just like a little glimpse into. You know, I thought it was interesting. He had another one on this guy who used to be like YouTube famous and then just like disappeared, and I helped him start a smoothie making show that apparently is still going. Anyway, he tried to do a video on Sam Hyde. So he went to Sam Hyde's like home and got a tour of the studio and all this stuff, and like met Sam Hyde's girlfriend and Sam's friends, and they did like some stuff that Sam likes to do, and they chatted, and it basically turned out that like Sam faked everything. Like the girlfriend was just some chick that he hired to pretend to be like a crackhead. Like half the people that were there were like totally like everyone was completely fake the whole time, and like he was trying to like he was fucking with iDubbbz, but he thought that it would just be funny, like it would be a funny video.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, shit was all fake, but iDubbbz was like legitimately super pissed,
really angry,
and he went on this. Like,
he just got destroyed. Rant. That's all that there is to that.
He went on this like 30-minute rant about like the definition of irony and why being that ironic like is not funny anymore. It's really entertaining to watch, and like I can understand him being upset because he thought he would get a glimpse into this genuine, like Sam Hyde is kind of a mysterious guy, I guess, because he's always ungenuine, and iDubbbz himself got played, and like Sam, he could have been fake, he could have been like double faking it, but he seemed like legitimately disappointed that iDubbbz reacted that way. Like he thought it would just be funny. But anyway, the whole point of this, so that's that whole drama. Like, and it's not especially like interesting drama, but I mean, those videos, I found them like interesting. Just the level of weirdness. Like Sam, he was having like a brainstorming session with his buddies, and he just had like a list of shit they were gonna do to like fuck with iDubbbz. Like
Yeah,
I
that
don't
just
know
sounds
why.
funny to me.
Yeah, it was. And like it was like, oh yeah, well, let's just fill the fridge with unpackaged raw meat, dumb shit like that. Just like see how he reacts,
Yeah.
Anyway, but I was like upset. So anyway, I watched an interview. The whole point of this story, I watched an interview with Sam Hyde where he seemed to be like legitimately being genuine, and he was just like, I fucking hate Hassan. Like, I hate Hassan and all he stands for. Like, that bitch
Yeah.
refused to fight me. Like, I just want to fight him and like beat him to death. I was like, okay. So that's all I know about Hassan is that Sam
That's
Hyde really hates him. So that was the
He's
point of
just
that.
this massive walking contradiction is his issue. He's
Okay.
supposed to be a lefty, but then he like does clickbaity videos and sits in it like he's like wealthy and
Oh yeah, he's rich as
condescending
fuck. Yeah.
and like he just there's nothing about him that is a representation of the proletariat. It's just like he's actually the opposite. He's actually a
Yeah.
capitalist masquerading as a socialist so that he can make the most money off of his YouTube
Hell yeah.
videos, basically. And it's just because it's the hip and trendy thing now to be a socialist, and it gets you more engagement and shit to use that kind of ideology because it's what's popular. And that's just
Yeah.
so fucking antithetical to the actual core of socialism that it's kind of sickening, and somebody like embodies that much of a contradiction between what they claim to be, I guess, and what they actually are. And I don't know if he even like knows the extent of the contradiction there, but it's just so ridiculous that I also kind of hate what he stands for.
Yeah.
Where someone like
Yeah.
Jordan Peterson, no matter how much it may or may not be wrong with him, doesn't have that same massive contradiction at the
Yeah.
core of
He's
what
not like
he's
a
doing.
hypocrite in that regard. I
Yeah.
guess. Yeah. That's like really annoyed me that Mecco kept like defending him. Where it's like, well, he doesn't run his YouTube channel.
Yeah, Mecca
It's like
really likes him.
I know, and like it was like that doesn't. Yeah, because you were like, or I think you were pointing out how all his videos are clickbaity. It's like, well, it's not him doing that. He doesn't run his YouTube channel. It's like, yes, this rich motherfucker pays somebody else to run his channel and apparently doesn't check it to make sure it's not clickbaity. Like, what is it? Difference does that make? Like, he
He
doesn't rank the
wants it to be
titles.
clickbaity. Let's
He
face
does.
it,
Well,
because
that's
he
the thing.
knows
He
that gets
signs
him the
off
most
on it.
engagement and the most money.
Yeah, it's like it's not like he's like, oh, I wish it wasn't clickbaity, but the guy that runs my channel makes it that way, and I have no choice. It's like no,
Yeah.
he's signing off on it. So what the fuck?
The other thing about him too is that by presenting as a socialist, he gives himself this air of like studious intellectualism, I guess, but he actually just completely like um, reduces the level of the public discourse because all he does is obsess over people rather than ideas and like
Yeah,
try to disprove. Like he's the type of person who, as Meko kind of like almost proved my point by quoting, would dig up that weird ass fucking rant Jordan Peterson did about his weird dream about his grandma's pubic hair as a way of embarrassing him instead of actually trying to like debunk his ideas themselves, right?
right.
Because he argues about people and does like drama react videos and shit like that, and that all also just like massively serves to devalue the public discourse.
Yeah,
So yeah, most of what he stands for is pretty garbage. To also indulge in some drama style
drama adjacent.
talking.
Yeah, I think I have seen one video of his where he had Stavros from Cumtown, the cackling one, on,
Yeah,
and just like did an interview
interesting.
with him. So like that was whatever, that's fine. It wasn't one of his
Yeah,
favorite videos, I guess. So
I'm
I
sure
don't really care for
he's
that.
better when he's like covering someone who he doesn't perceive as being on the other team, because when
Oh
they're
yeah,
on the other team, he has to do everything he can to discredit them,
right. Yeah, totally.
no matter how disingenuous. Because it is actually disingenuous to dig up the fucking weird ass Jordan Peterson dream and use that as proof that Jordan Peterson is a charlatan or whatever.
Yeah,
It's weird, but it doesn't actually do that. Like, it doesn't
yeah.
actually disprove him.
Like the video I watched was also by like another like liberal trying to really shit on Peterson, which was in my
Uh-huh.
opinion more successful just because it appeared more like fact based. But he also brought up not that, but he brought up like Peterson's the fact that he believes that he and his wife have prophetic visions, right, or prophetic dreams, and like but like he used that to make like a point, not just like, oh, look at this weird shit he said about his grandpa, right?
Yeah.
It was coupled with his hesitance to admit that he's not a prophet, which may or may not be. I mean, that is definitely like,
A little sus, I guess.
yeah,
It's
a little
better.
sussy.
It's better than just saying, "Oh, look
Yeah,
at this weird."
that's my point. Is it's better. It's not. It's still, maybe not.
Because he did ultimately say that he was not a prophet. So
He did in the end. It just took him a weirdly long time. And
you know what was another one I saw once that I thought was in a similar vein, like also about the time it took him to answer, and that I thought was a really lame gotcha. Was there was an interview where Peterson was asked to name his favorite author, and immediately said Dostoevsky, but then when asked what his favorite female author was, he didn't have an answer prepared.
sure,
And people were like, "Oh, look how sexist he is."
Yeah,
That proves he's, which I thought was very stupid.
stupid. Yeah, I'm the same. I don't know. I guess if you ask me who my favorite actor is, I honestly wouldn't know anymore. But like female actor, especially like I really I'm just like bad with names.
Well, sometimes you just, unless you are a social justice warrior, you
Like,
don't
I don't
feel the
exactly
need to think of it in terms of
right.
like having a favorite. Because the thing about it is, like, maybe they wouldn't have done this, but if he had a good answer for his favorite female author, they could have gone like, "Who's your favorite black author?" and then "Who's your favorite Asian author?" and "Who's your
Yeah,
favorite black female author?" until they got him eventually, right?
right. Totally. I mean, it's like, yeah, I just didn't think that far ahead. I have a favorite author. I didn't think to also have a specifically favorite female author. That, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, this room's a bitch because
They're really fucking you over.
they can
Yeah.
push the things for you and ruin your room.
That's why I didn't realize at
Reset it.
first. I was like, why do you keep restarting? Because you're doing fine with the blocks. And then I noticed that, yeah, they were. You I think you.
I think I did.
Shit.
I don't know. That's a disaster.
So, what do these games have in common? They are all based on shows, or no?
Yeah, they're all spin-offs. They're all tie-in games.
Spin-off games. Yeah, tie-ins. That's right. You said that. Okay, I didn't realize when you said that. I thought tie-ins with each other, but they're all tie-ins with other media. That makes sense. I don't know why I misunderstood you.
Yeah. But of course, there is a specific art to the tie-in game, which is to try and maintain the spirit or uniqueness of whatever the original work was in the game. And this game is the best of the three at doing that because there is somewhat of a slapstick comedy vibe to the pushing around and throwing objects and how you can fuck that up. Like again, it comes through better when you're playing multiplayer because you can throw things to try and like pass them, but end up just hitting the other person and like stunning them and stuff like that.
Sure.
Whereas the other two games we covered weren't really very successful at like translating the identity of their properties into gameplay. Particularly not Spirou, I would say. There's no.
Because of how anxious he looked.
Well, I guess the adventurousness of the comics maybe comes across in the game, but otherwise, there's no like investigation aspect, right? Or to.
There is a picture of a camera.
True. To communicate how Spirou solves his mysteries. And Fantasia was also absent in the gameplay, which is maybe a misstep.
His platonic life partner.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I honestly I'd say the opposite maybe is like the most important thing is to make it a good game. Because then if it fails to bring across the spirit of the original, it can still stand out as like it's like this is a bad Lion King game, but it's a good game, Whereas like if it's a bad game, but it's like I don't know, nobody respects it at all. I guess maybe it could be like so bad it's funny or something, but I don't know.
I guess.
I don't know.
See, that's your problem. You put these more basic concerns above the finer artistic concerns. I think that's the core of our difference of opinion regarding Okami as well.
Oh yeah, I like my games to be fun and they're artistic.
Okami is perfectly fun.
It's fun. It's
Alright, well, let's go to game over on Goof Troop. I think maybe we'll call it here then. Okay, we've shown off each game. I wasn't planning to finish any of them or anything.
No. It was always a possibility.
It wasn't likely.
Yeah.
Well, I hope you enjoyed our filler content.
that lasted for 3 times as long as the
Yeah.
actual.
If we knew how short Born from a Wish was, we may have planned this differently.
True, I did not think it would be like just flat out 1 hour.
Yeah,
Like it could have been half an hour had I been faster.
probably.
But anyway, it was fun. Well, yeah, thanks for showing those games off. Yeah, that's fun. I should plan something similar to this. We should do more of these little showcases. I really enjoyed doing Mechanicus and like not necessarily pushing through the finish, just showing off a couple streams of it and chatting about Warhammer lore and then moving on. Definitely not a bad thing to do. So.
Yep. All right, this is a cakewalk.